Hello, and thanks for joining us on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. This is Nationwide. I am Ronke Kolawole. The All Progressives Congress APC says the act of impunity, corruption and insensitivity in governance and the polity will not be allowed under its watch as it remains committed to rebuilding the nation. The national chairman of the party, Chief John Odigoyegun, stated this when he received the former governor of Edo State, Chief Martin Elechi, who defected to the APC. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba-Kudu reports.
The former Ebonyi State Governor Martins Elechi, who led a large team of 30 persons to formally defect to APC, says he joined the party for his democratic principles.
We are turning to the APC to ask the leaders of APC nationwide to please restore democracy in Ebonyi State.
The APC National Chairman Chief John Oyegun says the party welcomes men of wisdom like Elechi in his drive to rebuilding Nigeria.
We have the boldness to investigate. We have who have been in government and now, because we are hoping too that even if they are of the same party, that they too, when we move away from office, they will look at our record. Unless we start doing that, we will never come out of this vicious cycle of everybody protecting everybody's back. And so corruption becomes an institution in its own.
Party leaders at the national and Ebonyi State agreed for compromise and commitment in the APC.
If people do not adopt compromise, you will continue fighting until the next election. I'm pleading. Let's learn from the ICI and a compromise.
The 76 years former Governor Elechi served as two-term governor of Ebonyi State under the PDP platform. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba-Kudu, NTA News.
Away from political matters now, the federal government has so far expended $440 million on the Zungeru hydro dam project, which started in 2013. The Permanent Secretary, Edo State, said this when he and other contractors appeared before the Senate Committee on Power in Abuja. National Assembly correspondent Rabi Musa has that report.
The Zungeru hydro dam project, located in Niger State, estimated to cost $1,293 million when completed within 60 months. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Power, Edo State, said the federal government has already paid its counterpart fund and given an advance of $194 million to ensure that the target of the Zungeru project is met, while Mambila Hydro project is
who said the rate at which service providers lay off their staff is becoming alarming, stressed that they invited them to know how they are faring and to ensure that Nigerians working for them are not affected.
We need to start now and follow them with the processes. We've actually invited NCC now, and what we are doing next is to invite all the stakeholders. But we just want to give the new CEO a little time to study the books and what it meant so he can come and give us a report.
The Executive Commissioner, Nigerian Communications Commission, Sunday Dari, says the Commission is doing everything possible to ensure quality control and adequate monitoring of telecommunication providers to facilitate quality service delivery.
Ensure that investment within the telecom industry grows. The regulations, the guidelines in the telecom industry is such that the operators abide by them. We've also seen the broadband penetration move from 10% to 21%.
The committee also resolved to carry out an intensive oversight to the Commission. From the National Assembly, Ifani Isumba, NT News.
We now go to the judiciary, where the former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has been rearraigned on a 43-count charge bordering on corruption before the Federal High Court in Abuja. He was arraigned along with his two sons. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okeowo has that report.
This case has been on for close to 2 years now, with charges that border on money laundering and embezzlement of Jigawa State funds leveled against former Governor Sule Lamido and two of his sons. But the rearrangement comes as a result of the reassigning of the case.
The Chief Judge could transfer a case where the Act of Parliament did not make provision for such a situation. He then went on to take the plea of the defendants.
Alhaji Sule Lamido was, however, granted bail to the tune of 100 million naira, while each of his two sons was granted bail to the tune of 50 million naira. The court also allowed them 2 months within which to perfect their bail conditions. Trial will now commence in September. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Lagos is our first port of call, where the fight against corruption is receiving wider acceptance as leaders of thought preach the beauty of living in unity. Jennifer is with these and other reports from our Lagos Network Center. Hello, Jennifer. Okay, we seem to have some difficulties in getting connection with the Lagos Network Center. Moving on now. National and international donor partners have adopted the Buhari plan for the unification of efforts in the recovery and rebuilding of the Northeast under the leadership and guidance of Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, PCNI, as the coordinating body for all interventions in the region. This was at the maiden monthly stakeholders coordinating forum held in Abuja to provide a common platform that systematically supports all efforts in the Northeast. Justin Bem-Unyi has that report. Okay, while waiting for that report to be ready, participants at a colloquium by the University of Abuja have suggested a more comprehensive approach to the education of the internally displaced persons. Usman Aliyu has that report.
The commitment by the federal government to restore peace and stability in the Northeast has given internally displaced persons renewed confidence with the education and emergency camps put in place by government and supported by UNICEF. This colloquium believes government should do more in the area of education.
Whether Nigerian or global expects a university to be doing, to be in the driving seat of dissecting these problems and providing solutions.
We want is to have this bill in place. So the papers that come here is a document that will be used for that.
Former Minister of Education said such concern is similar to universal basic education.
I said, as one who promulgated the national policy that made basic education free and compulsory for the first 9 years of education for all our children, we did not at that time anticipate things like this.
And the project they are trying to make in this university will help us, most of us, the IDPs and vulnerable children, to achieve our careers.
Representatives of the Ministers of Science and Technology, Labor and Employment, governors of Abia and Kaduna, UNICEF and the International Rescue Commission supported the initiative of the University of Abuja. In Abuja, Usman Aliyu, NTA News.
After the horrors of insurgency, IDPs in Borno State to make a living through farming, courtesy United Nations. Lami is in Maiduguri to tell us more. Hello, Lami.
Thank you, Ronke. You're most welcome to Maiduguri. Vice Chancellor, University of Maiduguri, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Jodi, says the institution has the desire to create an avenue for intellectual discourse on contemporary issues affecting the society. He was speaking during the 4th public lecture organized by the institution on wars across states in Africa in the face of challenges of insurgency being faced by the Northeast sub-region. Nomi Abuku has the details.
This is the fourth edition of lectures organized by the institution on issues affecting the society and the way forward. Vice Chancellor, University of Maiduguri, Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Jodi, described the lecture titled Wars Across States in Africa as appropriate, as most parts of the world had experienced and are still experiencing crises of different dimensions.
I wish to assure you that we shall continue to sustain this lecture series despite our obvious challenges, with God willing, we shall soon overcome.
Professor Abubakar Jodi commended the Center for Trans-Saharan Studies for taking up the challenge of attracting world-class scholars to deliver lecture on topical issues in their fields for the benefit of the society. A professor of the Department of International Studies and Political Science, Virginia Military Institute, United States of America, Professor James Hens, in a PowerPoint presentation says wars has to be studied to know the motive behind it, which can either be ideological or that of interest. He cited some African countries involved in wars, with Nigeria inclusive, on the issue of the insurgency, where he hopes to conduct research on how to bring to an end the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria and indeed the region. In Maiduguri, Naomi Abu, NTA News.
Complementing government's efforts through various forms of support from well-spirited individuals and organizations will fast-track the ongoing resettlement process of internally displaced persons. This came to the fore during the distribution of farm inputs donated by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, to IDP farmers in Mafa local government area of Borno State. Abubakar Mohammed Musa was there for NTA News.
The distribution of farming inputs to 350 farmers from Gom village in Mafa local government is to bridge the gap witnessed in the area of farming in Borno, particularly in Mafa, due to insurgency.
What we have done in Ngwom is just a pilot. We are looking forward to expanding and scaling up our interventions in many more communities in the state. But we are very concerned about their safety, so we have given them education to identify strange objects and report them.
While commending the UNDP for augmenting the efforts of the Ministry for Reconstruction, the Permanent Secretary Yerima Saleh called for sustained partnership in view of the pivotal role the organization is playing in the rebuilding of destroyed communities.
There is a committee that is working on Ngwom, and under the supervision of the committee, including the UNDP personnel, I think they have educated them and carefully selected those who will not abuse what we are doing today.
The farmers described the assistance as unprecedented and assured to use the items for the purpose intended.
In Maiduguri, Abubakar Mohammed Musa, NTA News.
In a related development, 900 widows was affected by the insurgency in Borno State were given 4 goats each for breeding towards enhancing their source of income. The distribution of the animals under the Livelihood Support Project of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations was facilitated by Damnation Human Capacity Building Initiative. Reports.
The beneficiaries were drawn from 3 local government areas of Maiduguri, Kondoga and Jeri. Executive Director of the DHCBI, Musa Kida, said the donation would hopefully improve the economic status of the widows, as the reproductive nature of goats makes it possible to reap from such investments regularly. Each beneficiary, he explained, will receive 3 females and 1 male goat, as well as monthly stipends to take care of the breeding process. Musakid advised the widows not to sell the animals to make quick money, pointing out that the livestock business will fetch them financial rewards to support their orphaned children. The 3,600 goats will be distributed to beneficiaries across 17 locations of the 3 local government areas to cushion the effect of insurgency.
And those are the stories from Maiduguri. It's now back to Ronke in Abuja.
Thank you, Lami. We told you earlier on that national and international donor partners have adopted the Buhari Plan for the unification of persons and efforts in recovery and rebuilding of the Northeast under the leadership and guidance of Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative as the coordinating body for all intervention in the region. This was at the maiden monthly Stakeholders Coordinating Forum held in Abuja to provide a common platform that systematically supports all efforts in the Northeast. Justin Bem-Unyi is now ready with that report.
The clampdown on insurgency in northeast Nigeria by the military has given rise to a seemingly resurrection of socio-economic life in the area. The Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative, PCNI, the apex body charged with the responsibility of coordinating interventions in the Northeast and to oversee the recovery and rebuilding of the region, has through the monthly coordinating forum taken a step to address the need for cohesion and synergy of all actors and interventions. Existing frameworks for collaborative interventions were affirmed and validated by several actors and sector working groups in the region involved in the numerous intervention activities and efforts.
This allows for targeted resource spending and avoids a situation where there's an overcrowding of implementation in areas and then leaves other areas lacking.
National and international donor partners recognized the huge humanitarian needs in the Northeast and agreed to scale up funding to expedite the recovery and rehabilitation in the area.
We have seen strong commitment from government to support towards humanitarian response plan, which we jointly developed and launched in December 2016. And we will seek to further strengthen our humanitarian development nexus and lead to clear results towards supporting Nigeria meet its sustainable development goals commitments.
This responsibility is ours. If we fail, then the support, the funding that we are providing will just be diluted. If we fail, eventually, more importantly, it's the people of the Northeast who will suffer from our inefficiency.
The monthly coordination forum, as proposed by PCNI, will act as a tool for encouraging communication and collaboration, thereby enhancing synergy, increasing efficiency, and improving transparency in the delivery of interventions in the Northeast. In Abuja, Justin Bem-Unyi, NTA News.
As a result of the increase in child abuse, trafficking and other related issues in Nigeria, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has organized a training of trainers workshop that will showcase their loyalty and commitment to the vision of the agency. Joshua Kigbu reports that the training in Akwanga, Nasarawa State focused on how all the stakeholders will join hands to combat human trafficking and to brainstorm on how to end this modern-day slavery for the common interest of all.
The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has the mandate to prosecute offenders of trafficking, child abuse and other related offenses. In this regard, the agency has organized a training for its staff. The Director General of the agency, Ms. Julie Okundole, who was represented by Mr. Oluboye Olusayo, acknowledged the effort of all staff and urged them to utilize the opportunity to build their capacity towards enhancing their effectiveness and efficiency on the job. She says after this training of trainer workshop, the participants' attention and focus will be required as the agency look up to them as change agents. Julia assured them that the NAPTIP Training Resource Center has been equipped by the Government of Federal Republic of Germany. Clara Halley from International Center for Migration Policy Development says the training will equip the participants with skills and technique on eradication of human trafficking in Nigeria.
Fighting human trafficking, on protecting victims, on sensitization and prevention of human trafficking, and of course on investigating and prosecuting trafficking cases and bringing perpetrators to justice.
All the stakeholders from European Union, Economic Community of West African States and others were appreciated for their support. The training, which was held in Akwanga, Nasarawa State, will last for 2 weeks. In Akwanga, Joshua Kigbu, NTA News.
No escape route for tax evaders as Enugu State widens its net. Chigonu in Enugu tells us this and the breathtaking developments in the health sector. Hello, Chigonu, it is over to you now.
Good afternoon, Ronke, and welcome to Enugu. Enugu State government says institutions and individuals, no matter how highly placed, who deprive government of its legitimate tax revenues will be prosecuted in accordance with the laws of the land. Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi made the statement during the opening of a revenue court of the State Internal Revenue Service at 6th Avenue, Uwani, Enugu. Ijoma Ugweke was there.
These social and infrastructure programs augmenting the main revenue from the Federation account every month. Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi inaugurated a new board in June 2016 and charged them with the responsibilities of exploring sustainable avenue, increasing the state's internally generated revenue profile, as well as plug leakages to harness government's revenues. These informed the establishment of the Revenue Court, an integral part of state government's tax enforcement mechanism, as inaugurated by the Chief Judge of Enugu State, Justice Priscilla Emehelo.
And thereby affording any dissatisfied citizen opportunity to approach this revenue court for redress.
Some key players in the tax management system in the state urge the people of the state to exercise their civic duty by paying their taxes, as it will no longer be business as usual. With the opening of the revenue court, a partial sitting commenced immediately by the presiding chief magistrate, Joseph Agro, in Enugu. Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
Imo State Governor Rocha Zokorocha has declared his intention to partner NTA to sustain its leading role in objective reportage of the nation's programs and policies. Governor Okorocha made the promise when he received in audience the management of NTA Owerri at the government house. Sele Osayende was there.
The management team were warmly received by the governor. Governor Okorocha says NTA, as one of the foremost broadcast stations, still remains the best, and pledged to support the station by putting it in the right footing to meet the information needs of Imo State residents.
And this NTA belongs to Imo State. Yes. So I'm your first point of call before your DG, in case you have a problem. Because I won't want you to shut down. We'll support you. We keep on and extend the Nigerians, the gestures, carry my news. And we'll see how far you manage.
The General Manager, Mrs. Gladys Igba Anuko, while commending the state governor for changing the face of governance in Imo State, prayed God for the sustainability of the success story of the Rescue Mission Administration. The General Manager promised to serve Imo people better, but was quick to inform the governor of the station's challenges and solicited for assistance.
Your Excellency, sir, I must commend you, because since that time I have been in Owerri. I'm living in Owerri. So I'm an eyewitness to what you have been doing here. Wonderful work.
NTA Owerri was inaugurated by former Minister of Aviation, Dr. Kema Chikwe, in Owerri. Selosende, NTA News.
Army 82 Division Enugu has provided free medical services to over 200 people from Udi Council area as its corporal social responsibility. Amaka Owo reports that the exercise is part of activities marking the Army Day celebration in the state.
Community members turned out in their numbers at Oluama Primary School, Ngwo Uno, venue of the medical outreach for their various medical needs. The medical team from 82 Division of the Nigerian Army comprises various specialists ranging from physiotherapists, dentists, opticians, among others. Speaking on the essence of the outreach, the General Officer commanding 82 Division, Major General Adamu Abubakar, said it is a way of giving back to the community and also part of activities marking the 2017 Army Day celebration.
Medical outreach is for us to be able to assess the well-being, the health status of our people. And then the Army provides all the drugs.
The traditional ruler of Uboji, Ngwo.
That's the much we have from Enugu. Over now to you, Ronke, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chigonu. Good afternoon to you too. The second edition of the Chief of Air Staff Inter-Secondary School Quiz and Debate Competition has ended in Abuja, with the Air Force Secondary School Port Harcourt emerging as the overall winner of the three-day event. Philomena Pohol has that report.
A total of 72 students from 12 Nigerian Air Force secondary schools participated in the competition.
And ESCC and ICPC eliminate corruption from Nigeria. The ICPC and ESCC can eliminate corruption from our country, which Whistleblowers Act. I strongly believe that ESCC and ICPC cannot eliminate corruption in Nigeria.
Speaking at the closing ceremony, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, described education of a child as a veritable tool to national development.
Through the organization of competitions such as this, the Nigerian Air Force hopes to ensure quality education, rekindle the spirit of healthy competition among Nigerian Air Force secondary schools, and build confidence which will translate into excellent academic performance. Let me leave us with a parting quote on the importance of education by Mark Twain, an American writer. I quote, "Every time you stop a school, you will have to build a jail. What you gain at one end, you lose at the other end."
He commended the organizers for keeping to the objectives of the competition. The Director of Education of the Nigerian Air Force also concurred with the Chief of Air Staff.
By organizing this quiz and debate competition among our schools, we are showcasing what the Directorate of Education is doing as part of the contribution of the Air Force to the development of education in Nigeria.
Trophies were presented to the winning schools at the competition. Philomena Pohol, NTA News.
Congratulations to the winners. The Nigerian Television Authority has tasked the management and staff of zonal centers to embrace digitization in order to enjoy the advantages that come with it. This was the fallout of the one-day workshop organized for staff of NTA Makudi Network Center in line with the International Telecommunications Union Treaty. The report.
The workshop, which drew participants across the states that make up the Makudi Network Center, had its focus on transition from analog to digital terrestrial television broadcasting as it regards the NTA. Resource persons at the workshop said digitization of the industry will create job opportunities, foster competitiveness, save cost, and create space for more programming.
By the time we want to make our training plans, we know why we need it. And by the time that government wants to regulate, they will know what to regulate about.
The Director, Training, Headquarters Abuja, Halima Bewell, and the Acting Zonal Director, NTA Makudi Network Center, Eunice Ekpo, urge all staff to imbibe the spirit of self-training to be abreast of evolving technological advancement in the broadcast industry. Some participants sought more clarifications on how lack of funds can affect content provision, national security in digital era, and the fate of community stations when the policy is implemented. In Makudi, Elias, ETR, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. We now take a break for some messages. There'll be more news after that. Stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, The opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared.
Voices on the rise as Edo State Assembly conducts public hearing on grazing bills, just as Ondo State channels its energies to improve education. Let's link up with Amazing in Bini for these reports and many other happenings in the Bini zones. Hello, Amazing, it's over to you now.
Thank you very much, Ronka. Welcome to the heartbeat of the nation, Edo State. The proposed bill for a law to establish the Edo State control of nomadic cattle rearing and grazing is disadvantageous to Edo indigents and is not the solution to criminal activities of herdsmen in the state. This is the consensus of stakeholders at the first session of the public hearing at the Edo State House of Assembly. Obehi Otoboa Presai has details.
The Solicitor General of the state, Wole Iyamu, represented the state governor. He said the bill does not have the support of the executive as it has been poorly drafted.
If this bill had gone through the rigors that an executive bill always goes through, that is that our draftsmen look at it, compare it with existing legislation. This House has no opinion on this bill.
The chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Bishop Oyerinde Kure, said it will be criminal to take land forcefully from any community and give to a private business owner. The chairman, Nigerian Bar Association, Edo Chapter, Ede Asenogwan, suggested that another committee comprising of representatives of all stakeholders should be set up by the House. The representative of the Oba of Benin, Chief David Edebi, advised the lawmakers to tie all loose ends as regards the bill and reconvene the public hearing. Prior to the public hearing, the entrance to the complex was besieged by a group of protesters asking that the grazing bill be thrown out. In Benin, Obehi Otoboa Presai, NTA News.
And turning to education-related matters now, the nationwide rally by the Nigerian Union of Teachers has reached Delta State with primary school teachers demanding the separation of their salary from the local council coffers. Thelma Eliagu tells us more.
The teachers said the local government councils have failed to accord primary education the priority of place it deserves as the bedrock of education.
University of Science and Technology, Okitikpukpa, in his office in Akure. Doris Olumoko has details.
The governor said the state government has completed plans for an education summit where all stakeholders will brainstorm on how to move Ondo State education sector to greater heights. He said to achieve quality education, students will be ready to pay.
So we are trying to rejig the number of financial processes there.
Vice Chancellor of the Ondo State University of Science and Technology, Professor Robert Ogundowole, lamented that the 8 years of neglect of the school has dragged it behind. He thanked the governor for his efforts so far and pleaded for more assistance. The Ondo State University of Science and Technology of Okitikpukpa was established by the Olusegun Agagu-led administration. In Akure, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
And now to a last story. Cocoa Town in Warri, southwest of Delta State, has over the years been in global limelight following reported cases of toxic waste dump in the riverine community. Austin Edemodu visited the town to ascertain how residents are coping in the wake of another alleged toxic waste dump, which laboratory analysis has proven to be untrue.
In 1988, this riverine community of Cocoa was in the news for alleged toxic waste deposit by a foreign firm. 29 years later, another toxic waste dump was reported in the town, this time allegedly by an indigenous oil servicing company. The intervention of the Delta State Ministry of Environment, however, gave a clean bill of health to the company after the substance was subjected to laboratory analysis and the result negative.
The further analysis of the collected sample using DPRO perimeters revealed that the substance has minimal toxicity and therefore not
capable of contaminating groundwater as alleged.
This development has kept members of the cocoa community wondering whether the toxic waste saga has become a conspiracy theory.
Even when they say toxic waste in those days, how many days? There were no toxic waste. They just used that to embezzle money.
A cocoa town market located at the bank of the Cocoa River. Here, the major source of livelihood, which is fishing, is always on display with abundant species. Both fresh, cray, and dried fish are traded.
The business is not bad. Now we train our children.
For now, the calmness of the river is translated to the lack of anxiety in the town, as members of the community have decided to move on with their normal life with hope that such an unpalatable and unfounded news of toxic waste will never be heard about the community. I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
Well, that's the size of our offering from Benin. We thank you for watching. It's back to you, Ronke. Do have a great weekend.
We wish you the same. Amazing. Thank you. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, has denied the allegation that he is putting undue pressure on Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate to reinstate remittance of check-off dues to Electricity Sector Retirees Welfare Association, a breakaway faction from the electricity sector of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners. This reaction is coming on the heels of crisis rocking the retirees in recent times. Emmanuel Anyimiro reports.
Caretaker Chairman, Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Electricity Sector, Abel Osai Eko says the Trade Union Act, which governs union, gives directives as to remittances.
The Honorable Minister is undermining the law by giving directives to the various agencies to reverse the irreversible. The law is sacrosanct in this regard. Furthermore, PTAD is not under the Ministry of Labour.
Response to the claim by the NUP electricity sector, Labour Minister Chris Ngige says, although so many complaints have been received concerning Nigeria Union of Pensioners that it is too big to represent all unions, he has no hand in the issue of remittances.
Ministry will never interfere in the affairs of Nigerian Union of Pensioners, electricity sector, or the splinter group. I will only have anything to do with them in terms of assisting them to perform their roles or protecting the interests of their members.
The minister assured the public he will be fair on every issue affecting unionism. In Abuja, Emmanuel Anyimiro, NTA News.
To address contemporary environmental challenges occasioned by emerging advances in technology, the federal government has commenced the process of reviewing 15 new guidelines on environmental impact assessment, EIA. Mie Ogidi reports on the sectors affected but the review and the benefit therein.
It was in 1992 that the federal government promulgated the current Environmental Impact Assessment Act, focusing majorly on infrastructural development and oil and gas. Going in between the lines of the act reveals that most of the sections have gone obsolete, so its implementation no longer produces the desired results. A case in point is climate change.
National stakeholders validation.
The task before these sector regulators, consultants, and representatives of the government is to revise the existing ones and incorporate the new ones. The areas are 15, including health, electronic waste, farms, urban development, oil and gas, as well as renewable energy.
These guidelines under review are derived from the existing EIA Act that hitherto did not adequately address the global emerging environmental issues, such as strategic environmental assessment and incorporate climate-smart decisions. Therefore, the need to renew the guidelines and even develop new ones cannot be overemphasized, especially considering the dynamic nature of our environment.
It is a two-day engagement of some of the best brains in the environment family and the outcome will form the basis of a new Environmental Impact Assessment Act after the approval by the Federal Executive Council. Mie Ogede, NTA News.
And now to religious matters. Entrenching peace, unity, and respect for one another, irrespective of religion, creed, and geographical locations, are said to be the panacea for achieving growth and development of any society. Chief Imam of Ansaruddin Jumat Mosque, Ustaz Musa Laufe, stated this while delivering sermon for this Friday. He emphasized the need for Muslims to rededicate their lives to the worship of Allah and live a life worthy of emulation that will be beneficial for the next generation. Imam Laufe said disobeying commandments of Allah comes with consequences, hence the need for Muslims to observe caution.
He emphasized that we should live together as one family in Nigeria, so that we should not transgress our limitation. We should love one another, either the Yoruba or the Hausa or Igbo. We are one as far as Nigeria is concerned.
Some worshippers comment on the central message of the sermon.
This nation to unite with each other. The Imam is letting us understand that irrespective of whatever language you speak, wherever you come from, there is need for us to unite so that we can move forward, so that we can achieve good things, so that we can develop in this country.
Without peace and unity, where do we go in terms of development, in terms of social coexistence? You know, the khutbah of today is what everybody is supposed to be preaching. You know, if you look at Islam as a religion, it's a religion of peace.
The Imam later led the congregation on the 2 rakat prayers. We now go to Lagos, where the fight against corruption is receiving wider acceptance as leaders of thought preach the beauty of living in unity. Jennifer is now standing by with these reports and others from the Lagos zone. Jennifer, it's good to see you this Friday.
See you too, Ronke. Good evening and welcome to Lagos. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says the unity of Nigeria remains sacrosanct and secession is not the answer to the many challenges facing the country. Obasanjo said this at a forum in Lagos. Kende Gbelugu has the report.
Chief Olusegun Obasanjo told the gathering that Nigerians stand to benefit more if they unite as one entity called Nigeria. He described the current agitations for secession a cry for attention, amelioration, and improvement of socio-economic conditions and solutions, especially by the youths of Nigeria, particularly those from the southeast. Chief Obasanjo, however, suggested that the solution to the current agitations will be achieved by the collective efforts of leaders and elders in the southeast.
We appeal to Nigerians from whichever part of Nigeria we are from, and in whatever social situation we are, in whatever religious belief or whatever religious belief we have, whatever political orientation we may have, that the thing that will take us far in this country, take us to where we have to go, is the brotherhood and sisterhood of ourselves as a nation.
He also advised Nigerians, especially the people of the southeast, to apply caution in pressing home their demands. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
We sincerely apologize for the loss of audio from our Lagos Network Center. The quality was quite bad. We sincerely apologize. And moving on now, public servants have been told to champion reforms aimed at removing constraints to doing business in Nigeria. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, stated this at a seminar on the ease of doing business held in Abuja, as reported by Abdullahi Suleiman Yaji.
The World Bank 2017 report on doing business, covering 190 countries, places Nigeria at 169 with regards to the ease of doing business. Determined to improve this position, government is doing a lot to improve the business environment. one of which is the mandate to agencies to spend more on locally produced goods.
What do we decide collectively that Nigerian people deserve from public and civil servants in the implementation of our work? If we want our economy to thrive, MDAs can change some things in service delivery.
It is not just a one-way exercise where a driver of reform comes to tell you these are all the things we're doing. It's also an opportunity for you to say to them, have you thought about doing it this way? And what you're doing, is it really working? And as public servants, we can tell you what is likely to work and what is not likely to work. That way, the drivers of the reforms can take the experience from the public servants and recalibrate the reforms that they are driving.
The monthly seminar, organized by the Bureau for Public Service Reforms, educated participants on the executive orders and emphasized the need to enhance transparency in governance. In Abuja, Abdullahi Suleiman Yaji, NTA News.
Up next, as stories trending across the globe, and Obiageli Ugoke has them on the foreign scene.
Hello there, welcome to the segment of the news. U.S. President Donald Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin have met for the first time, shaking hands at the start of a G20 summit in Hamburg, Germany. They say they want to repair ties damaged by crises including Russia's alleged meddling in the U.S. election. And top on the agenda of the two-day summit is climate change and trade. As the summit opens, mass protests erupted in the streets and clashes at the Welcome to Hell rally left over 70 police officers injured. Local reports say Chancellor Angela Merkel is seeking to show mass protests can be tolerated in an open democracy by choosing to hold the summit in Hamburg. Speaking with former Nigerian ambassador to Poland, Samuel Wodi Jimba, he said the group of 20 summits, which is expected to end tomorrow, will bring about far-reaching decisions on climate change, trade, and counter-terrorism.
The United States has just withdrawn from the Paris Agreement. So it becomes necessary for these countries to meet together, discuss issues of climate change, and see how they can fight global warming, which is becoming a problem around the world with, floods and weather changes and all the rest. So the impact will be that their decisions will help to mitigate the problems of both international business and climate change.
The 4 Arab states leading the boycott against Qatar say its refusal to meet their demands represents a threat to regional security. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Bahrain are now pledging new political, economic, and legal steps against Doha. A member of the Gulf Cooperation Council trading bloc said Qatar could now be forced out. Niger's army has killed 14 civilians who were mistaken for militants.
And talking football now, Football World convey get well fast message to goalkeeper Carl Ikeme as action continues in the 2017 Wimbledon. Ayodeji Makinde brings us more on sports update.